Hey hotties, are you looking to grow your business and get real-time support from fellow designers?
Become a loyal hottie by joining our Patreon community. Your subscription to our loyal hottie tier on Patreon gives you exclusive episodes like process parties, live workshops, and our unedited and unfiltered conversations for just $10 per month.
Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to create the content you love. Plus, by joining our Patreon, you'll become a part of our inner circle and have the opportunity to connect with us on a more personal level.
So learn more and subscribe at patreon.com/HYDC.
Hi, I'm Rebecca of Studio Plum.
And I'm Sean of Renstead Interiors. We're interior designers
Turned internet friends.
turned real life friends.
Welcome to the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
We're not that hot.
Or that young.
Every week, we'll be spilling the tea on how a new generation of interior designers can run their businesses.
Welcome to the club, Sean.
What's up, Rebecca?
It's another Friday and we're here.
It's springtime.
Oh yeah, the lovebirds are in the air. Literally,
I mean,
my doves.
Your little
are
dove
back.
lovebirds. They're back at it again.
Yeah, they come and roost in.
Is it roosting?
I think they roost.
Nesting? Is what makes roosting different than nesting? This is important information.
No.
Roosting, settling or congregating for rest or sleep. Oh, and I guess nesting would imply like actually laying eggs. Okay. All right.
They do both.
This is the hard-hitting news the hotties
Yeah.
are here for.
Yeah, it's really cute. There's some sort of partnership and they like
they
take
mate for life?
turns. I guess. Yeah, they take turns. Sometimes they're up there together on my little outdoor light fixture. It's really an ideal
Making it
environment.
kind of dirty.
Yeah, it's okay. It's powder coated.
It can be clean. It's just the light. But for them, it's the maternity ward.
It's the maternity wing. Okay.
This is what everyone's here for.
I'm done with my bird puns for the day. So what else? Okay, what else is new?
I am headlong in. Well, maybe I'll start with we thought we were going to go on a vacation and then the timelines weren't working out. And then the places we wanted to go it wasn't coming together. It was like when Sean wanted to go wasn't going to line up when it was good for me. And then now I don't know when we're going. I don't know. So we are in need of that. We definitely need a reset. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we're going to figure it out. In the meantime, on the business side, I'm rebranding right now, or in the process of rebranding. Like we're still in design phases.
So you had your first kind of discovery call?
I had that.
Not discovery, I guess.
This was
design kickoff.
Yeah, this was like let's review the mood board. Let's talk about, I mean, I think it's kind of fun to do. I'm working with Quixotic Design Company, and they're local to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like seeing the parallels to our own design process as interior designers, because there's like the discovery call proposals, the whole like, okay, now you've got to do some homework and send all these questionnaires and things to us in advance. And then we're going to come back with sort of a general idea and we're going to nitpick all sorts of things. Like the call we did yesterday was kind of, okay, why did you put this logo from our mood board in your favorites? Was it the illustration, or was it the font, or was it the color? Was it a combination of all of those? And I love that sort of dissection, because you would think that I would have done that in real time when I was like pulling what I was most attracted to. But I was trying to like let the design process unfold instead of overthinking it, which is very hard to do.
Well, right. And I think the relatable thing for our interior design clients is people don't often have the language
Yeah,
that translates into whatever medium. I
very
happen to
that.
have both languages. I'm bilingual with graphic and interior design. But no, it's sometimes what's like we've talked about this, I think, before. Like
Hmm.
when someone says the word modern, that doesn't mean the same thing to different people. So you
Yes.
have to really like translate. It is a language.
Yeah, there and then I'm saying things like this font felt playful. And then then you compare it to another one and then you go, does this one feel that way to you? And then I'm like, no, that one bugs me because and it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
a very nuanced game, which is why I'm also trying to just let them do what they need to do instead of me focusing on getting in the process, because I would want clients to do the same for me. Like, give us the parameters and give us the feedback. Stop focusing on the exact orientation of a font or the exact size of a logo. Like, let us bring you a good idea and then we can refine it together.
Yeah, like I would always tell people to, instead of giving me very specific feedback, this translates to both industries. Like, don't tell me to make the logo bigger. Tell
Make
me
it
that it
pop.
needs
Make
to
it pop.
stand out more or make it pop. Or like it's feeling too chaotic. Can we simplify this somehow instead of like giving
Yes,
ideas on how to execute that? Because
100%.
then you're creating like it's like that a horse designed by a committee is a camel or whatever.
What?
You ever heard that phrase?
A what?
A camel is a horse designed by committee.
Okay.
Make the legs longer, put some.
Shouldn't it have a stronger back? What if it could hold water?
Exactly.
Shouldn't it have more fur?
So yeah, instead of trying to be super instructive, like you didn't like the level of designer that Meredith is, like you don't need to do that. Like she'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah,
Awesome.
I'm with you. So it's fun. Also, like hard to come to terms with like, where do I want, where am I trying to aim to be? Because I do feel like I rushed through the process really early when I created my business. And it was like, well, it's just a logo because I don't have any work yet. And it's just like, nothing was really carrying through.
I feel like you beat yourself up about that. Because
I really do feel like it doesn't represent where I want to
well,
be.
that's fine. But like the flip of it is I did the same thing when I started, but I didn't allow myself to get too entrenched in it. I
Mhm,
made it
mhm.
just like a placeholder in a way just to move forward because the logo isn't going to make the business at the beginning stage.
Oh no, it's not. Yeah.
But let it, so like having not spent a lot of time in it. Well, so I guess like what if you had invested in this before you'd even started your business? It could have not even
It
been
might still
applicable
not.
still. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably
No, and
wouldn't have.
that perspective I hadn't thought about before. So thank you, because where I was 4 years ago and where I am now is still, they're still very different places, and whatever could have been done better then still might not
It would
not
have
it might
changed
not align anyway.
and you would have invested in it and felt like more beholden to not changing it. So
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely the in line with you with the this could be better thoughts.
yeah.
Like, but at some point I just had to stop, and I think that's what stopped me from doing this at any different point was things were so busy and the last couple of years have been crazy, so it like distracted me from it more, and it was like, well, let's just keep swimming. Like, let's just
And it wasn't
keep things
hurting. I don't
moving.
think it was hurting anything. It's just, it was
No, I was
fine.
obviously getting business. I think I'm moving from the, I don't think I'm in the puberty phase of my bit. I don't know how it
Mm.
works, like design years wise. Like, I don't think you really know until you look back at your business, but I'm definitely not in the infancy anymore. but I don't
think
know if
you're
I'm in
like
that.
still in your early 20s and single, but you're looking to settle down. Like club life is like getting tired.
Yeah. I'm not
So
going. My business isn't going out and partying every Thursday through Sunday anymore. We're
yeah.
really just limiting it to like a fun Friday and maybe a cool Saturday every once in a while.
Yeah, if you could lock into something permanent, you would be good with it. if it fit.
It's the
right.
So my
person.
business is, but so that took us past the puberty phase pretty quick because now we're in the like
Your
20s.
mid-20s.
Yeah, we're in the like mid to late 20s phase of a business life where you're like, let's calm down.
I mean, I think I'm still beer bonging at a college frat party.
I'm not.
You're a little ahead of me.
You're not waking up in some stranger's house and your friends like, we brought you here because you were a mess. Like,
now we're.
Sometimes that's how life feels.
I know. I think I'll graduate soon.
Come on, Chico State business.
Exactly.
Oh man. Yeah.
Speaking.
This is why we do the rebrand, though. Yeah.
Yeah. She's ready. Speaking of vacays, I decided to take a mother-daughter trip after we get back from High Point, which is, I think this will be airing right about now. Yeah, Cecily, so she's 7.5 now, and she's been really wanting to do like a mother-daughter adventure, which is really cute. And like, I love that she wants to do that, obviously. And I've been kind of putting it off, but I find I'm like, okay, spring break, I got to do something with her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so why not like enjoy it with her? So we're going to Cambria, which is the central coast of California. It's so beautiful. And I booked this amazing hotel that it just got a redesign, and I can't wait. It definitely went design first with our plans.
Well, we've been through this before. You want to stay where it feels at least as good as your home or better.
Exactly. Like, I'd literally rather stay home. So that'll be fun. And I'm really hoping, this is kind of a gamble, but I wanted to do something with her that we can start to like have overlapping interests. Like Terry, my husband, takes her to amusement parks, and he likes that whole like tourist stuff in a way. Like I just don't. Not that my plan is not, I mean, it's very touristy still, but anyway, like I want to go.
This is fun for kids too. Like touristy stuff is fun for kids because they haven't done anything before. Like, right.
So she really is kind of into design. She knows what I do, and she loves, or she talks to me about room design and stuff sometimes. So I'm hoping that Hearst Castle is open again. It's been closed.
I love that place. It's so cool.
It's so cool. I think she'd really enjoy it. And I think it'll be fun to like explore it with her and have conversations about what different things are. So anyway, the road like got rained out a couple months ago. So fingers crossed. Otherwise, we'll just chill.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to share on Insta, of course, because if you don't put it on Instagram, did it?
It didn't
really happen. Yeah.
No, you didn't go on vacation if it wasn't on Instagram.
So that's it. I just ordered some new suitcases, so I am ready.
I mean, let's just fully commit to the vision of we're not pretending that's not a pandemic still. It's just
have shots, we'll travel.
Okay.
Okay, what are we doing today?
Oh man, it's a perennial favorite. Just Stop.
A real crowd pleaser. Number 2, fan favorite.
I don't even know if it's worth naming the sequels anymore. Like,
Oh,
Just Stop versus
King
like
Kong.
it's like
Godzilla.
Halloween 2000. It's like, is it Just Stop 2022, the re-up, the sequel?
We already do The Reckoning.
I don't know. So we will just in typical fashion, we will at the 9th hour think of a stupid name that we'll call this.
If you're listening to this, you already know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're never gonna, we can't just stop that just stops. We just don't know how to quit.
We don't have any cocktails with us this time, which usually makes them a little juicier, but
I mean, I'm pretty loose-lipped when it comes to these. So I think it's helpful for you a lot than it is for me, because I will leave a bitch on red. Like,
you got something to say. We have some fun ones. I think we've talked about this before, but there's always new trends in this vein. Stupid DIY stuff. I get that it makes sense to DIY things. I personally have DIY stuff in my home. And there's a time and a place and a budget that, you got to just make it work and improve what you can in what ways that you can.
Yeah.
But I saw something, I shared it with you at the time. It's things that don't operate, and it's just to try to get the look, but it doesn't even have any function. It's just so stupid. Like, I saw this one where it was like a utility garage hook that you like hang a bike on. Spray painted gold, turned upside down, and then some sort of like PVC pipe glued to the front of the hook. And then they hung that over a picture art and called it a picture light.
But it's not a light. There's no like light in it.
No.
It's just like a pipe on it's just metal pieces on a wall. Like, the fuck? Like,
I thought it was, and then I had that moment of like, oh wait, is it April 1st? Nope.
Like, is this satire? I think you said this has to be satire. And I was like, what the hell are we watching? Like, the level of the DIYs.
I think reels have made this worse.
Oh, to me, what that you just described is the same as the stupid people making nachos on their countertops.
Ew, God, that was gross.
Those people, to me, it is the same level of like, just, I
thought you were going to say dirt pot.
No, but I mean, at least that's like
a real thing.
A thing, but no one's eating nachos off their marble countertops
that you like scooped around with your hand.
Like, this isn't Cold Stone. Like, we're not making it. This isn't Cold Stone Creamery, people. Like, that's the level of the DIY is so sick. Sometimes it's gross. Like,
and like, we have pans. Like, there's not even a need for the nacho hack. Like,
and we have foil even. Like, but the home DIY stuff is getting to a level.
Gotta be careful.
It's just like, I'm all for people feeling empowered to like do work themselves. Like, truly, you can paint your house. Truly, you can hang the shelves yourself. There's a lot of things you can do. You don't need a handyman. You don't need a contractor. With the right tools and tutorials and guidance, you can do the right stuff. But some of this stuff is just like, it's content for content's sake. And it really is it's a really bad place to be. Like, it's junk. Like, you're buying junk to make junk to replace it with real stuff. It's wasteful too. Like,
yeah, I follow, like, I have a few internet friends that they're out there like actually making shit, like real carpentry, and they're taking the time, they have the skills, they're engineering stuff. That's not what that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's all you want to do is spray paint and put a hole in the wall. Like, no, you gotta and like, in that case, like a picture light, like you can get a cheap knockoff on Amazon for
$20. Like, what did that actually works?
Yeah, like I guess what bugs me too with that is just like I'm always thinking about like where did my time go and like what natural resources got used. Like that bitch had to go to the hardware store and buy several things, and like that had to take multiple trips. That wasn't all just like, look at these parts I have in my tool shed. No, that was like planned out, and it's just so wasteful. It's a fake non-functioning picture light that hangs on what, come on.
Just stop.
Think of the CO2 emissions. I don't know.
Think of the birds.
Think of the birds.
Okay, so that's like a just stop. Like, I don't know. People need to ask themselves, is it functional? Can I just buy this?
I'm all for being scrappy, but to this degree is just half of the DIY things are just trash.
Scrappy, or is it crappy?
This one was definitely crappy. And I don't want to be that bougie designer, but yeah, gotta just stop moving on from that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like we talk about this a lot, but it's this idea, and I feel like this isn't so much for design. Obviously, this is not for designers. I think it's more about to consumers, about thinking that your budget means that that's what something should cost.
Right.
Like, oh, I have $2,000 for a sofa, so that means like that's what a quality sofa should cost. And that's just a lie. Like,
well, and it's Veruca Salt syndrome. Like, I want it. Well, yeah, I want a lot of things and I want them to be handed over to me, but that's not the reality.
That's just not how the world works.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've both had clients that have tried to say, I want this spend and this quality.
Yes.
And they're just not, there's no Venn diagram. Like
there's no overlap.
Are floating in space independently.
Yeah, there is no like, well, if we come down from this and come up on this, then we'll meet somewhere. Like some of these numbers, and that's part of where like thinking back to like branding and messaging and what we put out there is kind of important. Is like I have gotten more and more to a point where I don't mind telling people that stuff anymore. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do that for you. I can't make you happy with that number.
And it's also I'm not gonna do that for you. Because sure, like going back to like crappy DIY stuff, you could spend 5 months waiting for a sale, scouring the internet, going to every outlet store, and you could probably make that budget work. And some people do that. Like I personally have done that, but that's not what you hire a designer for. So that's where it doesn't make sense. So we've been talking about working on our good, better, best guides. And we finally just decided to break it out into like, this is a column for DIY level stuff. And that's fine if you're a potential client that's in that, but we don't purchase from that column.
Yeah, we don't do that. And is that hard? A little bit, but also it's so much messier and sloppier. And like, it literally takes like more design time to make those super budget items work.
Yeah.
So,
and find them.
Oh yeah, when you're like, well, I'm gonna go thrifting for this bench, and you're like, okay, I'll see you in a year and a half. Like it, or you could find it magically. Yeah, it's just, I don't think that there's this like, there's no happy place for people sometimes where it's like, I hear what you're saying. You only want to spend, $45,000, and to you that sounds like a shit ton of money.
Well, it is a lot of money,
but it's not going to
get you very far. Right.
like when you're doing construction or replacing windows
God.
or furnishing a like it in my head, it's not weird to think about 45 grand just going on furnishings in a living room. Like you could get there, it wouldn't take too long.
No.
Like it's nice. It's gonna be a nice living room. I'm not talking about entry level, but just because your budget is that number doesn't mean you can get everything you want in that number.
Right. With a designer.
Unless they're all DIY
yeah,
picture lights.
They're all actually just spray painted hooks. I think, yeah, and that's also on us, and that's what we work on
to
behind the
communicate
scenes. Is like being really clear, like where's our line in our business sand of what makes sense.
Yeah,
and communicating that stuff early so that there's no like misunderstandings and hurt feelings. But like if I say this room needs to cost $40,000 and they come back and say, oh, I actually only want to spend 20. Okay, well, that's not the same room anymore. And I'm probably not the person to work on it.
yeah. And I know that there are designers who are working at those beginning levels and they're willing to work with clients who want to do things via retail. And yeah, we've got to start from somewhere. For me, it's really just coming down to like, I know these projects are going to be more work if we're not on the same line. Like it's going to be painful for everybody and the results aren't going to be as good. I think we've also stressed about this a little bit when we were at Vegas Market, where I was looking at furniture pieces and saying, that's not a $3,000 chair. And then you're like in my ear saying, I think we need to reassess what the new number is. And I feel like in that same sense, our customer base or consumers in general have to hear that too, of like, the last 2 years have been a mess. Inflation is here, shipping is here, all these new costs. That's the new number.
It's a big learning curve. I mean, and that's something I've said a lot is most people have not, if a client comes to us today, they most likely have not done any renovation or decorating in the past 2 to 5 years. So the last time they bought a piece of furniture 5+ years ago, it's a completely different.
It was at least, I feel
value.
like it was at least 15% cheaper, don't you think? At least 5 years ago.
It's almost, I think it's like more 30.
Yeah, like 15 just eats up all the surcharges and extra things we've seen in the last 2 years. So then you add on the previous 3 years before that of like booming economy and, tariffs increased prices. Remember that? Like tariffs increased the prices on top of us.
5%. And it's so
what the world had in store for us.
You're like, nope, it's going to be 20% and you may not ever see it.
But do I want to say that coming from like, does it apply the same way to things like how gas is, $5 plus a gallon for us in California? Everybody who's elsewhere in the country, gird your loins, like pick yourself back up from that number I just shared, because like we've seen numbers in the 6s and 7s even in California recently per gallon. So do I think that's a forever number? No. In furniture, accessories, construction costs, I don't see those going down. There's no incentive whatsoever for any vendor or anyone to lower their prices at this point, because why? There's so much business.
I mean, I really don't know what to expect, but it's definitely been like a whiplash moment for all of us. And so there's just a lot of education we all have to do.
Yeah.
And again, that's why it's really important to go to markets, I feel like, and just really get a feel. Because when you're at market too, like it really helps you understand pricing a lot better quickly overall across manufacturers. So
100.
Kind of along those lines-ish. Oh, maybe not, but I'm kind of tired of people worrying about resale with every decision they make in their homes.
Oh, yeah.
I I mean, it's a question I always ask, especially in consultations when they're like debating a choice. I'm like, well, what's your time frame here? Is this your forever home? Is
Yeah,
it likely a 5 to 10er? If you are trying to move in the next year or two, like, okay, maybe your decisions are different. But
sure.
I think at this point, we all know like anything can happen or not happen.
And people are
So,
buying the ugliest houses. So if you had even just like a moderately attractive house, done. Like people are buying the crappiest ones,
well,
not
because it's
just the
the only
best
thing to
ones.
buy. Yeah. I asked this question on Instagram a couple weeks ago because I was talking about color and asking just why people who like color but don't use it,
Mhm.
why? And a lot of them said because of resale, they don't want to paint again in a couple of years. And I argued back that if it's done well, it's a selling point. Like my
100%
whoever would, if
that.
my house went up for sale next year, whoever bought it most likely would like the finished choices. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Otherwise, it
definitely
wouldn't be
makes
worth
it
buying it
more attractive
to the
for
person
people.
who loves it. And then I had a few other commenters back say, yes, that actually is what we did. We bought a house that was really interesting, had really interesting paint schemes, and it made us braver because we probably wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Like their tolerance level had already increased because of how they got the
Well,
house.
somebody else already made the bold decision to do the
And
paint.
you knew that it could work.
It was working. Or if you're sitting here in a white house and you're scared to start, that step is always the hardest. So,
Yeah, it's like the commitment of picking a color.
which that's why hire a designer, have consultations. But I
guess
also,
that the resale excuse is getting really tired though.
and just like enjoy your own fucking house. Like, why
You
are
paid
you
a fuck ton of money for that house.
why
I
are
don't care
you
where you
making it
are.
for this person you don't even know? Like, that's so crazy.
You'll never see them after. You'll never think of that person who bought the house if you move out again.
But you're
Like, it's
living in their house. Like, you're
yeah.
literally living in the next
Oh
person's
my God, it
house.
sounds so insane.
Doesn't
It
it?
sounds insane. Like
It-
you're not in an apartment. You paid and you are paying every month unless you're buying it all cash. Like you are paying money every month to do whatever the heck you want in your own
and
damn
it's
house.
not like altruistic. You're not like paying it forward in the Starbucks line. You're just not enjoying your own home for the sake of like a maybe.
And paint is so cheap. That's the part. It's like
it's not even just paint. Like people that
just like
are
a colorful sofa or a colorful
like getting
anything.
tile that's not white. You know, like we've had the white kitchen debate, but okay. And if you like white kitchens, that's okay. This is really just,
Well, I mean, this isn't their podcast. This is our podcast. So
but yeah, and my point is if you love something, you should have it. If you can.
I agree. I agree. Color, like, okay, I get it. White subway tile in a shower is legitimately cheaper than a lot of other colorful options. Like that's just how it works.
And
like
you feel
neutrals
clean
tend
when you
to
get
be
out.
cheaper. But like, oh my God, I am stuck on that idea of why are we thinking about people who aren't here? Like, why are we even giving these people who you don't know, you don't care about, you will never interact with again, all of this space in your life? Like they're not important.
Yeah, and this is also something we all need to be educating our clients on, of how to like take, I mean, bravery is so weird, but
calculated risk
if it's
prudent.
what they want. And if it's well designed, it's going to find the right home owner later.
I mean, our condo was a totally different style when Sean and I sold it. It was like, it was so well done. And that was that I wasn't even working as a designer yet. It was just like me using my own, like I was in design school still when we sold it. And it was like just making good choices made a
Mhm.
difference in people wanting it and having more offers than other homes. And I know the world is crazy right now. People will offer anything on any house that's available, but it
Yeah,
does make it.
our last house sold the first day because it was just a cohesive concept.
Yeah. So I
And it
want
wasn't even
clients to
crazy
do that.
then.
Clients should do the same thing. Do what you want, live the way you want, especially paint though. Like if
I
anything,
know.
it's, can I be honest? This is like the just stop I didn't plan for. Can we just stop buying giant fucking sectionals? Like
Mm.
when they don't, especially for the same people who, it's generally there's an overlap of the same people who are so worried about, oh my God, but resell are the ones who are like, I want this giant 10 by 10 sectional that it's like, you should be worried about that when you move. Is it going to even fit the house you moved to? And you're so like, I must
Oh, I
have this
see.
giant sectional. And it's like, in the same vein of you being worried about resell, you're also not thinking about what your next move is when you get somewhere else. Like, and you're the one who's demanding. If I could tell you how many times I've had to talk people out of the giant sectional that pretty much eats a whole room alive. Like,
Right.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Can
I
we
know
just stop buying the giant sectionals?
people love a sectional.
And
I love a sectional.
but your sectional comes apart at your own home, which is
Yeah.
great because it does have adaptability. But most of them are just these behemoths that you better be sure you're locking down because they rarely fit multiple other
Spaces,
homes.
or it's the wrong side.
Yeah, it's like faces the wrong direction or
So
whatever.
like really what
Like,
they could do is just buy a regular sofas that fit the space and then take that extra $5,000 they would have wasted and put it on the walls and hire someone to
bam,
repaint it if they want to.
Bob's your uncle. Like,
Boom. Just stop. Okay. So yeah, and have we learned anything the past 2 years? Like, let's just make our homes ours, because you may
yeah,
think you're on a 5-year plan and you may be on a
the
20-year
universe has
plan.
a lot of other ideas for you in store. Just you wait.
It makes me so sad when people renovate a bathroom for resale and then they just like lived in a shit bathroom for 10 years.
Just a boring white box.
And then they redesigned it to sell their house. Like, do it now. Do it for you. Namaste.
Namaste. USA. So silly. Well, in that namaste energy,
Mm.
I think a lot of people need a little bit more namaste in their lives because I've kind of alluded to a little bit of this when we started our conversations about hiring. And I just have to share with the hotties how aghast I have been about the work experiences and the environments that designers are working in. Like, it's so toxic out there. And I know we know that this is not it's not just the people I happen to interview. It's like we hear this from hotties who message us. We hear this in our DMs. We've watched it on TV, like a la like Jeff Lewis in the universe.
Mhm.
And I think that this sort of like toxic, over dramatized,
Diva.
yelling at people, diva behaviors, making people work overtime without, really like, hey, can you stay? Like, do you have obligations to your family? Do you have a life? Like, these are weird considerations. And I feel like there is a thread in the design industry of just like really being really awful to people you work with and
Toxic
treating
work conditions for low pay. Like,
and treating vendors that way too, like designers acting like a prima donna and treating contractors poorly, yelling at vendors, like angry is the default, like being mad at people, being rude to people is the default.
You think that's an industry thing? Is it? I wonder if it's like a little bit of the creative license because of the idea that the person at the head of the company presumably is somewhat of a creative genius
Volatile.
that nobody else can replicate.
Sort of
Kind
like how fashion would be.
Exactly. Like a fashion magazine in the 90s, like the Miranda Priestleys of it. Like,
I think it probably is driven by that, but it's so wrong to me that people think it's okay to treat other people that way. And the candidates like I'm interviewing who like, thank you for offering fair pay. Like, oh my fucking God. Like, I know people are being underpaid for the work that they're doing because we're constantly talking about how we need to be paid fairly for what we do. And we're like the lead creative. And I know there are people who are like getting hired from their unpaid internship and being offered minimum wage, even though they have like design experience and or
Degree.
schooling. And it's like, you don't finish design school and start at minimum wage for a design firm. That's disrespectful. Like, that's not appropriate.
I think there's an air of you should be, you feel lucky to be here.
Oh, yes.
And the name recognition or whatever publishing.
Do you know how many people would want to work here? Like,
right.
I don't care. I don't know.
No.
I just think it's like, there's no.
Well, you're also creating like little monsters. Like they're going to
do the same thing.
Either you're abusing people or you're perpetuating a culture that is just going to keep making it worse. And I think as like a primarily female run industry, it's not a good look. Like we have to do it better than like the corporate boys did, you know, like, come on.
Yeah. Like, let's not perpetuate the system that we already know doesn't work. Like, why are we modeling ourselves after something that isn't the best? Why shouldn't we create something new where it is possible to be in a very demanding industry, like it is, and there is a lot of emotion, but it's possible to work in a stressful, demanding, and emotional industry and not let that be the tone of the way that we run our businesses. Like, a therapist works in arguably a very similar environment with people. They find ways to cope and maintain their lives around it. In theory, like, they're not out becoming psychopaths because they're listening to people's problems all day.
Yeah, or like beating people down till they have no self-confidence and don't even want to work in the industry anymore.
Right. Like, the people want to quit because they get treated so terribly, or like contractors don't want to work with certain designers anymore because the way they treat people is a mess, or they're rude, or they are constantly asking them to take less pay for their work, all in the guise of, I'm standing up for my client. And it's like, there's a fine line, and a lot of them have definitely crossed it.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard this from a lot of people in a lot of areas and regions.
It's despicable. Like, people who from the outside look like they're successful, and it's all just like this created illusion where it's like, it's not based in truth. Like, you've literally created another version of yourself, and then the reality keeps coming through the cracks of the way you treat the people that work for you, the way you treat your vendors, the way that you've like achieved your success is literally by crushing everyone underneath you.
What do you think clients see from that? Like,
I'm sure they see it too. They have to see it too. But then they have like what most of those clients, what would be surprising to me is how many of them come back to environments like that. How many of them keep coming back to those designers? I would really wonder if there's a correlation between running a firm like that and then how many of your clients see, like, yeah. And I don't know. I mean,
I think there are a level of clients that would want that name attached to their home as well.
Oh yeah, they'd be like, oh yeah,
like,
I want
like whatever.
I want to say that this person designed my house.
Because I'm sure the clients aren't getting abused by the principals that are acting that way, but the juju has to be in the soup somewhere. Like, you're getting bad energy into your home.
I'm just so like, I'm so grossed out by this idea of like, I'm not easy to work for. And even my employees will say that, I'm a bitch, or I'm really focused on the details. It's like, excuse me, being focused on the details doesn't mean you have to be mean to people.
It's actually not being focused on the details, because you're not realizing the people that you're squishing beneath your
like if we're talking about like the way the crown molding was supposed to be designed, why do we have time and energy if we're so focused on that detail to crush people on our way to that? Like, no, you're actually focusing on hurting people, not the details here. Like, the work is what's important. We could just, how about we end up being neutral with our employees instead of yelling at them over something, or demanding that they have to stay until it's fixed, or, that's just, I'm not here for that.
No,
it has to stop. It has to just stop. Like,
well, I think the more people realize that they don't have to put up with that, the better.
And your life will be better when you don't deal with it. Even if you haven't convinced yourself that you don't have to deal with it, if you remove it from your life, you'll realize like, oh wait, my life can still be better without it. Like, right. How many rewards can you get that make it worth it to be treated like trash?
Because I think we're hopefully reaching a stage where people know they don't have to put up with shit. Like the Me Too movement, okay, we don't need to put everyone on blast, I guess, and cancel bad behavior. I don't know. That's a whole different debate, but you don't have to put up with it, first of all.
We just, they're like, I don't know, no job is worth sacrificing your quality of life, is maybe what the last couple years have taught me, is like,
no. And the weird common thread with a lot of those situations are you're being poorly treated and poorly paid. No time off. Like, it just doesn't add up.
What are you get? Like, that's the thing, is like,
and
what
you're not
exactly
allowed to use anything
getting
in your portfolio, and you can't.
And that's the thing too. Like, well, I'm never going to give you a good reference, and you're just like, what the hell? Like,
but it's already in their hiring contract that you can't use your stuff in your portfolio. They own the photos or whatever.
Right, they own it. Like, you could say I worked there and I worked on XYZ projects while I was there, but you can't say they're yours. You can't share the photos. You can't do it. It's like,
there's no upside.
I don't know. It's just so, it just seems so small of those people. Like, and honestly, it comes from people who project really big, but to me, it's just a sign of truly how small they are. Like, it's maybe like because of they feel that way internally, they have to project really like big, loud, angry dog. Like, they've got to like bark really big, but they feel there's something, I'm not trying to Oprah them right now, but like there's something happening inside. There's something missing inside.
Well, they're little black hearts. Yeah. If they want to Grinch and have your heart grow 10 times in size,
you got to give.
Yeah.
God, that can't be good for you to absorb all of that anger. And like,
no, there's also like clear,
like, we know medically speaking, right?
Yeah.
Like, we know that that's not going to be good for you. Like, oh, surprise, that designer has ulcers. Like, duh. Like, I don't know. Just stop that. We got to treat people nice, and like stop this atmosphere in our industry where mistreating people is like what has to be done to get anywhere. Like, you literally don't, that's not how it has to be. But let's please
just stop the revolution.
The uprising. the incursion. I don't know. I don't want to. We could keep going.
Okay, well, I'm sure we will.
There's always more.
Well, let's just stop.
Until next time.
Stay hot, designers.
Thanks for joining this meeting of the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out the show notes there for links to things we talked about today.
We are keeping the conversation going on Instagram, so don't forget to like, comment, and follow at Hot Young Designers Club.
You can find Rebecca on Instagram at Studio Plum.
And you can find Sean at Wrensted Interiors. That's WRENSTED.
Solid.
Solid as a rock.